In my last Borderlands 3 video, I tested the URad Anointment with Moes, using a bunch of splash damage weapons. This time, I'm testing mostly non-splash damage weapons with Flak, to see if this anointment is still good after its recent nerf, down from 150% extra radiation damage to only 100%. Let's get to it. The Hellwalker has long been known to be one of the best weapons to use for Flak, particularly fadeaway Flak. He has a ton of skills, which makes this weapon the most deadly in his hands than all the other Vault Hunters. But using the Hellwalker with URad makes it even more deadly, like radioactive fire. It's like hellfire or something. The ricochet bullets from critical hits carry their radiation with them, both increasing their power and spreading that radiation to enemies on the field. So while the Hellwalker is already powerful on its own, the increased damage to the ricochet critical hits stemming from URad will chain radiation explosions together, decreasing your kill time. And since this is a Hellwalker we're talking about, URad is much more reliable than next to mags and consecutive hits, which was also recently nerfed. The OPQ. After months of waiting, we're finally able to get our hands on this thing at max level, much to the anticipation of all Borderlands 3 players out there. And I've been interested to see how this thing performs with URad, so testing it with Flak seemed like a no-brainer for this video. But while the OPQ is immensely powerful, it does have its drawbacks. Well, one drawback that I can think of at the moment, which is that it lacks an inherent element. That can be fixed with next to mags and URad anointments. And those two are especially comparable now that the URad has been nerfed down to only 100%. But URad has the benefit of being a permanent increase without the ASE requirement, and that radiation explosions can take out multiple enemies at once. Another nice thing about URad OPQ is that the radiation damage carries on the electric bursts, allowing you to spread that radiation more easily. And it will give radiation to all damage you deal, giving it an edge over next to mags radiation. The Rowan's Call is amazing with URad for the same reasons all Jacob weapons are amazing with URad. The ricochet bullets carry all that damage with them to every nearby enemy. What makes the Rowan's Call special is that the ricochet bullets deal splash damage, making a URad anoint on this thing even more potent. Having a Jacob's weapon that can deal splash damage is great for URad Flak, and though URad has been nerfed, the Rowan's Call was recently buffed, making up for the discrepancy. Next up is the Reflux, another weapon widely known to be amazing with Flak. The chain damage the Reflux deals will chain not only critical hits, but the radiation from URad to any enemy it connects with. While testing, I did notice the decreased damage from the nerf increased my time to kill, but that could be either from the higher level enemies or the URad nerf. So far though, this is the first time I've really felt URad take a noticeable hit, but that could be made up for with higher level class mods and artifacts. So once you've got proper rolls in your gear, I'd say the URad Anoint is still pretty good on this weapon. On to the King's Call. This will be the last Jacob's weapon for this video, but it was pretty obvious when I planned this video that I had to include it. Now, unlike the other Jacob's weapons, this one doesn't fling bullets to surrounding enemies. The ricochet shots will converge on the original target, but because of this, the King's Call is phenomenal for single target damage. However, with the addition of URad lending it its power, this thing can still take out multiple enemies at once. And like the Rowan's Call, the King's Call also received a recent buff, so any lack in damage from a weaker URad is mitigated by this thing's increased power. Another way URad really increases the viability of the King's Call is that if you happen to miss a critical hit, the permanent increase in damage lends its power to every shot, dealing a decent amount of damage to non-critical hits, and a massive increase in power to headshots. While the Light Show was one of the best pistols in the game, I was surprised to find that it doesn't perform very well with URad. I guess the surprise came from not many other weapons really suffering from the URad nerf, as I haven't really used it with URad since before the nerf. But yeah, I'd say the Light Show feels it. Unless you're trying it with the Mara, which I haven't yet, I wouldn't recommend URad on this one. This is a weapon I'd say to use consecutive hits on, or better yet, next to mags to match the elemental damage against whatever enemy you're facing. The 7th weapon on the list is the needle gun. Before I go on, I will note that I'm using a ×2 variant, so the damage output is noticeably increased. If you can get a ×2 variant, use it. That plus URad will erase the shield, armor, and health bars of your enemies. Since the needle gun takes a few shots to ramp up its damage, using this thing with double shot will make up for that. And since you'll be reloading often, the permanent radiation damage from URad is a great boon. Plus, if you're using it with flak, the near constant crit damage you get is in play. All that combined makes the damage output of this weapon just mwah, beautiful. Seriously, use the needle gun with URad. It may just be the best way to use it, and it cheers me up from the disappointment I feel from the URad Light Show I went over just before. And last but not least, the Plaguebearer. This is the only splash damage weapon I tested with flak, aside from, of course, the legendary Jacob's weapons. But I don't really consider those splash damage weapons, since it's only splash on the orb spawn from critical hits. Anyway, I really wanted to try this thing with flak because of the crazy critical hit chance he gets from Megavore and Fadeaway, meaning the additional orbs that fly out from the Kame Kame Blast will all crit hit. And I'm running a radiation variant this time, unlike the electric variant I used with Moe's. So hey, it's different enough. But yeah, the crits from flak, and the radiation Plaguebearer, and the addition of URad increasing their radiation. It all works well together. The critical hits adding power to the radiation explosions. I had to test this one out. And since this is the "Is URad Still Good" video, I had to include it here. And it doesn't disappoint. For this video, I used the Atom Bomb Victory Rush artifact, Front Loader Shield, and Cosmic Stalker class mod. And so, with this video under wraps, I think I can for sure answer the question, is this anointment still good? With a yes. I only noticed the decrease in damage on the Reflux and the Light Show. But of the 16 weapons I tested between Moe's and flak, if only 2 of them feel a bit weaker, then I'm thinking URad is still good, and it shall remain my favorite anointment to play around with. But anyway, to all the Borderlands 3 fans out there, good luck, Godspeed, and I wish everyone a good day.